This is the High School Football America 2-Minute Drill podcast for August the 15th, 2018. I'm Jeff Fisher. The High School Football America 2-Minute Drill is brought to you by the Debris Inhibitor Razor. Stop those pesky rubber pellets from field turf from getting into your shoes with a TDI razor that also gives you the great look of spatting without the high cost of tape. Well, today we're going to go back, at least at the beginning here, to how I met this young man that's going to be on the show. He's in the Minnesota Vikings training camp right now, trying to make the 53-man roster. His name is Johnny Stanton. And I met Johnny back in 2012 when High School Football America moved to Los Angeles to do our show on AM 570 Fox Sports Radio. And at that time, Johnny was one of the top dual-threat quarterbacks in the nation for Santa Margarita. In the ultra-tough Trinity League, Santa Margarita was ranked number one in the nation at that point in time, and lots of big things were expected out of Johnny and his teammates. But then early in the season, Johnny blew out his knee, and that ended his senior season. Now, he did go on to Nebraska after rehabbing that knee. He was there for 2 years, including a redshirt year, but he transferred to Saddleback Junior College, where he led Saddleback to a state championship game. And after that, he was able to move on to UNLV, but another knee injury kind of derailed a lot of his time with the Running Rebels. So with the curtain falling on his collegiate career, he had to start thinking about his pro day. So what he did was he decided to start training for several positions. First, quarterback. That made sense. Always a tough physical runner at 6'3", about 250 pounds during his collegiate days. And going into his pro day, he decided to train not only as a quarterback, but also as a linebacker, a tight end, and a long snapper. He got a call from the Minnesota Vikings to try out, and he was able to make the training camp roster. He played in his first preseason game this past weekend when the Vikings took on the Denver Broncos. And the surprising thing about all the training he did, he actually trained for 4 positions, but the one that he's on the roster for right now is fullback, one he didn't train for. He learned that after the Vikings told him that he had made the training camp roster. And now it's time to talk to Johnny about the long and winding road. Thanks for joining us, Johnny.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, let's just, dive right into it. Certainly 6 years is a long period of time, but when you sit back and you think about, what you went through at Santa Margarita, the devastating knee injury, the different schools, to know that you played in your first NFL game over the weekend as a fullback, do you kind of scratch your head sometimes and go, wow, this has been a little crazy?
Yeah, it's been, I got to the Vikings in May, and I knew the whole spring probably that if I was going to be able to make it to a camp, it wasn't going to be at quarterback. I knew my chances. With my track record at UNLV, I probably wasn't going to be able to play quarterback in the NFL. So I'd been training to be a tight end a lot, and I did rookie minicamp with Minnesota as a tight end. I was invited to try out for the team. When the weekend was over, after I had signed, found out several hours later that I was actually the fullback. So, it was a whole lot of changes, but I kind of prepared myself for the position change over the spring with training and everything. So over the past couple months, I've definitely gotten used to it. It was, on Saturday night, I definitely wasn't used to, being in an NFL stadium with an NFL game. But once I got out there, it was, it just felt like football again.
Yeah. What have you learned about yourself going through the adversity, through the knee injury, through all the changes, the different schools, and now a different position, even though it was more than the one you had signed up for going to training camp? What have you learned about yourself?
Just to be adaptable. I think that's something that it's a trait that a lot of coaches look for in a player, especially someone who is right on the bubble, which, I'm going to be. I have to be able to prove myself in a lot of different areas to be able to become valuable to the team. And the best way to do that is to be able to be adaptable and be open to changes. So I think that's the biggest thing that I learned, was that I'm able to be adaptable. I'm able to go through adversity and learn how to do something new to become valuable to the team.
You're a very physical quarterback. So now, a fullback's a physical type of guy. Tell me a little bit about the adjustment and what you've done to get yourself ready.
There's a lot of technique to correct way of downhill blocking that I had to learn. I'm used to running between the tackles and trying to get yards that way. but I'm not used to trying to run into guys rather than avoiding guys. And there's a lot of technique to it that I'm still learning. But you also, not only do you have to think about it in a way where you're trying to get to your man and into him rather than away from him, you're also trying to think of yourself as a runner and find the hole for the running back. It's not always going to be the hole that you're hoping for. So think of yourself as a runner until you can't anymore, and then you need to start blocking. That's something that I've had to get used to, that I'm still learning. But absolutely, the technique is something that's very new. But like I said, and like you said, I was a physical quarterback that was used to running between the tackles, so it wasn't completely foreign to me. So I did get a little bit of experience in that.
Yeah, you get to eat a little bit more too. That's probably a good thing, right?
Yeah, I'm about the same. I'm right around the same weight that I was playing at quarterback, around 250.
Oh, okay. What's good to know. Mm-hmm. Well, let's go into it. You said it was so exciting to be in the NFL stadium on Saturday night, and of course you had a former teammate there too in River Craycraft. So tell me a little bit about what that was like. How much emotion? What went through your mind knowing the journey was so darn long?
It was great. River has gone through just as much of a roller coaster as I have, if not more. He got into the league last year, coming off an ACL injury, was able to make it to the Broncos practice squad in the middle of the year once his knee had fully recovered. And, he's fighting for a spot with the Broncos too. And I got out there for, I think, my second kickoff. I had gotten a couple special teams plays in the second half, and I think it was either the first or second kickoff, and River was back there returning. So I was really hoping it wasn't going to be a touchback, that I'd have a chance to be able to go up against him. But unfortunately, we kicked it out of the end zone. But we got to see each other after the game and take a picture together, and it was pretty special, that being my first NFL preseason game, as well as his. And that we got to share that experience.
One of the things I always like to ask players that are playing at the level you're playing at right now, because we have so many young kids, high school kids that listen to this show, is to get them to understand the curve. You guys played in the Trinity League, one of the best. But some of these guys out there in the small, the jump is incredible. From high school to college, it's big. Can you put in words how big that jump is from high school to college now to where you are right now?
The jump from high school to college was not what I was expecting. It was extremely hard. I think I was expecting it to be maybe easier, and I think a lot of that had to do with coming back from an injury. I don't think I necessarily had my full capabilities after I'd come back from my ACL surgery, getting into Nebraska. Guys are really, really fast in college. And one of the things that Coach Palamalu, my running back coach right now, says that, the college game is all about speed. That's why Oregon was so dominant over several years and, still was able to hold a lot of power, is that they really hold, they hold it down with their speed. But once you get to the NFL, it's a lot more physicality. And I think that's, the way that we played the game at Santa Margarita, we were out physicaling, we were the more physical team in high school. When I got to college, everything moved a lot faster, and it took a lot of time to be able to adjust to that. As hard as that is, it doesn't compare to the jump between college and the NFL. Maybe it wouldn't be so high if it was, maybe an SEC school or something like that, coming from an SEC school, but it's still a huge jump. The speed of the game, they always say, is a lot faster, but it's not necessarily. In college, from high school to college, the jump in speed is the player speed. The speed of the DBs, the speed of the receivers. When you get the speed of the NFL, it's more the mental game is what quickens up, and learning about the defense during the week so that you can play fast. I'd say that's the biggest difference in between the college and NFL game.
Yeah. And then it's a business. That's the other big thing.
Absolutely.
You're on the 90-man roster. There's cuts. They go down to 53. Tell me a little bit about how you approach the business aspect. What are you going to try and accomplish over the next week or so to make sure that you, or a couple of weeks, to make sure that you're on that 53-man roster?
I'm going to do whatever I can to make myself valuable to the squad. But right now, really all I'm focusing on is trying to get better, trying to become the best player that I can be, the most viable to the team I can be by being on as many special teams as possible. But I'm trying not to think about the cut just because I don't have any control over that. Coach always says don't count the guys in front of you, because it's not always about that. And Coach DeFilippo, our offensive coordinator, always says, you're not just fighting for the 53-man spot on this team. You're fighting for a 53-man spot on the 31 other teams as well. So I'm keeping that in mind, but I'm also not really, I'm trying to keep it out of my mind a little bit as well, just to focus on getting better and having fun, because this is the NFL. I have to be able to take advantage of it while I can.
Yeah, no. Well, we really wish you the best of luck. It's been a long 6 years, and I hope and pray that you get that dream and make that 53-man roster. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Again, that's Johnny Stanton, former star quarterback, now trying to make it as a fullback with the Minnesota Vikings in the NFL. Hey, don't forget that my book, High School Football in Texas, Amazing Football Stories from the Greatest Players of Texas, comes out in 19 days on September 4th. You can pre-order it now by going to highschoolfootballamerica.com. All the links there for Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Spoke to over 30 past and present NFL players, 9 of them in the Hall of Fame, some in the College Football Hall of Fame, some in both. It's a great book. It's all about high school football in the Lone Star State. We're not talking pro and college there. If you're a high school football fan, especially from Texas, this is a must-have book. Names in there like Earl Campbell, Eric Dickerson, LaDainian Tomlinson, old guys like Raymond Berry. He's in his 80s. I can say he's 80. It's just a wonderful book. I think you're going to enjoy it. So please go on to highschoolfootballamerica.com to pre-order it so it goes out right away on September the 4th when it comes out. The 2-Minute Drill is brought to you by the Debris Inhibitor Razor, and that's today's High School Football America 2-Minute Drill podcast, giving you high school football news from around the nation. Listen on our website, iTunes, Stitcher, or TuneIn Radio, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at HSFB America for the latest news throughout the day. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at High School Football America. Thanks for listening to the High School Football America 2-Minute Drill. I'm Jeff Fisher.